Okay, so I'm having a hard time controlling my anger. What do I do? First off, it's important to note that no matter what tips and tricks you learn, you need to be realistic here and realize that you are going to get mad. There's never going to be a moment where you have perfect control over your emotions. But with that being said, there's a healthy kind of getting mad and an unhealthy getting mad. If you're hitting people, that's not healthy. If you're yelling at people, that's not healthy. If you're gossiping and backbiting, and that's not healthy. Get mad and then get over it. But don't get mad and then start being a jerk and start being mean to people and start being rude to people. There's a healthy balance where you have to learn to control your anger and how to filter it, and how to direct it. Never direct it at people. I remember one time when I first got married, I was so mad at my wife that I picked up the vacuum cleaner and threw it. Well, I wanted to hit her, so at the time, it was a victory. I didn't really come from a household where you learned how to control your anger, and so when I first got married, it was very difficult for me to learn to control it. And so when I got married, I wanted to hit my wife, and I knew, that's not a good thing to do, but at the same time, I still did. So instead of acting on it, I redirected that anger and threw the vacuum cleaner. Now, I'm not saying you should throw stuff or punch walls. That's not a good thing either. But if it comes down to hitting a person or harming a wall, I think it's way better to hit a wall. But hopefully, throughout the course of practice, you will eventually get to the point where you don't hit anything. Once again, this is often a baby steps kind of thing. So the first thing, I found this online, and I think it completely just fits great. I was a very lonely kid, and one of the very few friends that I had died from a drunk driver. It was a car accident. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He was hit by a drunk driver. And it was just very troubling for me. Before that had happened, some things had happened with my family that kind of left me broken. And I was just a kid, and I didn't know how to direct that disappointment and grief. And I thought I wasn't supposed to have emotions, and I thought I wasn't supposed to feel. So I tried to just do that, just not feel. Well, obviously that didn't work. And I was confused. I didn't really feel like there was anyone who I could really talk about it with. So I lost a little bit here and I lost a little bit there, and kept losing stuff in my life. And I started becoming a very, very angry person. But finally what pushed me over the edge was I lost my second son. And I realized that I was completely not in control. And I realized that a lot of times when I get angry, it has to do with me trying and wanting to be in control and trying to be in control, but I'm not, so I resort to anger. And this perfectly fit that. I sat with my anger long enough until she told me her real name was grief. I didn't feel like I belonged as a kid. I didn't feel like I had friends. I didn't, what I did have, I kept losing people and things in my life, and I started to realize that I was angry because I was sad. And the sad thing is that I thought I was a Christian, and I thought I was, basically a good person, but at the end of the day, I didn't show love to people, and I was very angry and short-tempered with them. I mean, you heard me just say about how I got married and I was thinking about hitting my wife. Obviously, something was not good. I think that a Christian probably shouldn't be punching people. That's probably not a good thing, and I've changed so much, but then when I look back and remember that, I still remember just the years of not addressing the grief. See, I didn't address it, and so it didn't go away. You'll find a lot of people who have anger problems who had traumatic experiences when they were kids. When a kid doesn't know how to they can't process it. They don't know how to respond. The death of a parent, or things like that happening, a kid doesn't know how to feel what they're supposed to do. And then depending on the situation, sometimes feelings are kind of downgraded. So as a child, children are even more emotional. So it's like they have all this grief and this despair, and they don't know what to do with it. And sad kids tend to grow up into angry adults. I'm in ministry. I'm a pastor, and there was a kid who couldn't control their anger, and I thought, oh, that's a load of hogwash. They had blackout episodes of, they got so angry that they literally did not know what they were doing. And I thought, no, he's just a baby. He just needs a good couple spankings. Well, thankfully, I've grown since then. As it turns out, one of his parents, he found them dead, and the other one just left and didn't want anything to do with him. Things sometimes aren't as obvious or as simple as we make them, and we need to really be smart to that, and especially when trying to work through our emotions. So the first thing about dealing with anger is it a symptom? Is there something going on, or was there something that went on? Were you molested, or that kind of stuff? If so, it's gonna make the anger really hard to deal with, because the anger isn't the issue. What's causing the anger is the issue. And until you learn to face those demons, learn to work through those problems, it will be a repeating error. And so you'll keep fighting your anger because you think that's the thing that you need to get control of, but the truth is you're not going to be able to get control of that without addressing the issue. So another thing is sometimes related, sometimes not. When we get angry, a lot of times we enjoy it. It gives us kind of an adrenaline rush. So stop enjoying it. A lot of times we can't stop getting angry because we don't want to stop getting angry. So find a reason why you don't want to stop getting, and why you do want to stop getting angry, and then stop getting angry. Now, once again, this is easier said than done. But if you focus on the bad things that your temper tantrums are causing, you'll see that nothing good comes from it. And this is good motivation. If you have resorted to physical violence, or if someone has resorted to physical violence on you, just know that once that is crossed, once that line is crossed, it's very difficult to move on from that, because typically abusive relationships don't change. Typically they repeat themselves. There have been exceptions, but the rule is that. So if you're with someone who is physically assaulting you, it would be in everybody's best interest for you to get distance, get safe, find someone who you can rely on. Get help, do something. Now, here's the problem, though. A lot of times, well, yeah, I'm in this abusive relationship, I want to get out. How? How would they get out? If they try and leave, they might get caught and beaten or killed. Even if they do get out, where would they go? So it's very important to try and make relationships outside of the abusive relationship, and look for the opportunity. And when you see the opportunity, don't hesitate, take it. And I will tell you this, it is better to live. It's better to die. Sorry, I said that backwards. It's better to die free than to live like that. That's not really living. That's years and years of torment that it's questionable if you'll ever be able to get over it. If you see your opportunity, take it. So anyways, stop enjoying being angry. There has to be a point where you realize, I shouldn't be acting like this, and you take action. Avoid any rash decisions while you are angry. Kicking a child out of the house, getting a divorce, hitting someone, those kinds of things. Just hold on. Maybe holster the weapon for a little bit. And if you are at the point where you get so angry where you cannot control yourself, for instance, that shows that you really have a lot to work on. And it also typically people who can't control their anger exhibit it in other things. Overeat, don't work, play too many video games, that kind of stuff. Spend too much time online, whatever. Where it'll kind of seep over into other areas. Lack of self-control really affects our whole lives. So one thing that can really help is start taking control of those other areas, like not overeating, and you'll find that it'll be easier about the anger thing. Yeah. Well, more could be said about that, but moving on. Try to think objectively. When you're angry, just stop for a second and try to clear your thoughts. Why am I really angry? What do I really want to happen from this? What's going to happen if I do this thing that I want to do, like hit this person? See what I mean? Think about the jail time. Think about the harm that you're going to cause another person. Think about how your life is going to change. I mean, these are all very important things, and you have to learn to teach yourself to stop and think. Just think. It'll be difficult at first, but in time you'll learn. You know, if you're the kind of person who's getting so angry that you literally cannot control it, you need to have a real conversation with whoever is in danger and say, look, when I'm angry like this, it's best if just let me calm down. I'll go for a walk, and then when I've calmed down, we'll address this again. And say that in a respectful way, because if you say it something like this, you just need to shut up right now. Well, that's just going to make them angry, and then they're going to push you, and then you're going to hit them. I mean, it's just... physical violence is a hard, tricky slope. And once you're in that place, it's very difficult to get out of that place. You have to reconvince yourself that hitting people is wrong. You have to reconvince yourself that just because you feel something doesn't mean you have to do something. Boy, that's going to be difficult to do. We live in a culture that says if you feel something, that makes it okay. Pornography is okay because, hey, we all got needs. Homosexuality is okay because same-sex attraction is okay, whatever. You know, see what I mean? It's thing after thing. Well, it's okay that you do this because, you know, hey, that's how you felt. But our feelings don't make something right or wrong. And so you have to retrain yourself, regardless of what everyone else is saying, to control the anger and direct it in a healthier way rather than just acting on it. And it's going to be very difficult to do, especially once you've crossed certain lines. Think about what makes you happy. I have a dog, and she's in her kennel right now, not because she's in trouble, but just because whenever I'm recording, she does this thing where she paces behind me and shakes her collar. And so she's in her kennel right now. But I have a dog, and she really helps when I'm upset or sad. Just petting her, focusing on feeling the fur. I love that feeling. When you're petting a dog's fur, just that, I like the way that when I'm petting her, she looks up at me like I'm her best friend in the world. You know, think about things that make you happy. Calm yourself down. There has to be a point when it's like babies. There are ways to teach your baby how to handle pain and how to deal with it and then calm down. You know, obviously I'm not saying abandon your baby or leave your baby unattended in the other room, or I'm not saying something like that. But there are some times when your baby will not be comforted, and if you keep on trying, it'll teach them that you are their security. And they won't learn going into toddler years how to correctly handle that problem. They don't know how to handle their irritation, their sorrow, their pain. We don't need to teach our kids to not feel things. We need to teach them how to properly handle what they feel. What to do with it when you get mad. Do you hit your sister when you're mad? No. See what I mean? This is what you do when you're mad. And if you just tell you and give your kids a bunch of lists of do's and don'ts, it's going to be harder for them. But if you direct them on how to take care of that, they'll know where to go with that. So you have to kind of teach yourself how to direct that anger. Think about what makes you happy. Next, ask yourself a very simple question that sometimes our anger blinds us to. Is it really a big deal? Sometimes the things we get upset about, two things. First off, it's not that big of a deal. But then second off, sometimes we get upset because we were upset about something else. And so now we're already upset, and so we overreact. So is it really a big deal? Just stop and really look at it. Well, my kid spilt milk all over the floor. Okay, hold on. Calm down. Is that really that big of a deal? It'll take you 30 seconds to clean up, then you wash the rags. Not a big deal. It's not worth yelling. It's not worth losing your temper. Well, my kid just doesn't listen to me. Be firm. Establish your rules. Put them in timeout. If they get out of timeout, keep going back. If you are steady and firm with your kids, loving but firm, they will learn. And it's the same thing with teaching yourself to control your anger. You have to be steady and firm. Give yourself grace, but there's never a situation where it's okay to hit somebody. There's never a situation where it's okay to punch the wall. These things are not okay. And you have to train yourselves that, no, these things are not okay. Well, I really want to, yeah, but that's not okay. So then stop and really ask yourself, is it really a big deal? Well, I got mad at my wife because... If you're married, you're going to have fights. Don't worry about her agreeing with you all the time. Don't worry about always being right. Don't worry about all that nonsense. Just let it go. It's not that big of a deal. Marriage isn't about, and raising kids actually too, isn't about correcting the behavior right now. It's about the long-term plan. See, if all our jobs as parents were to do was just beat it out of our kids, well, that'd be easy. Just buy a paddle, and every time they do something that's not good, you just hit them over the head. But that's not our job as a father and as a mother. That's not our job. We're trying to teach them how to be parents and how to do things. See what I mean? A lot of times we get our kids in trouble for things that aren't really a big deal. Well, you played in the mud. It's a kid. They're kids. The kids play in the mud. It's not that big of a deal. Or once again, the wife. Well, I need her to know that I'm right about this. Marriage isn't about a moment. It's about building your life with someone else. And even if they don't understand you, you're not building towards this moment. You're building towards a lifetime of happiness and joy to them. You're trying to give them a life of happiness and joy. So when you're in these moments, realize it's not about this battle that I'm in. You have to look past the battle that you're in and realize the long-term scope and effects. And if you really want a healthy marriage, if you really want your kids to like you, you really need to learn this right up front. Is it really a big deal? And learn to not make mountains out of molehills. Try to make amends with those who have wronged you. If you have a bitter heart, you will never control your anger. You have to let go of those things. If your parents left you when you were a kid, you have to learn to let it go. You have to learn to just forgive them and move on. You know what? I'm sure they had their own reasons. Whatever. I'm not their judge. This is what I'm going to do. See, I mean, now that's going to be difficult because right off the top of our head, we want to say, no, they were wrong, and they need to suffer for it, they need to pay for it. But if you have that attitude, you will never control your anger, and it will seep over into other areas. You have to learn to forgive people and let things go, because people will always hurt you. People will always let you down, because they're people. People make mistakes. But you got to learn how to give them grace and how to forgive them and how to move on. So try to make amends with those who have wronged you, and even if they never forgive you, do your part. Even if they refuse to accept your apology, apologize anyways. Well, I tried to and they wouldn't listen. Okay, so do the best you can and keep treating them nice. And if they don't treat you right, that's their problem. But as far as it depends on you, do the right thing. Consider the outcome. Most of the time, if you look at your anger, it really doesn't produce any good results. Go for a walk, exercise, listen to calm music. Yeah, I don't know how many people I see having anger problem and then listening to Eminem. Well, Eminem is a very angry man. Maybe you could listen to him when you're not upset. Just throwing that out there. Or, hey, just don't listen to angry music. Anything that says things that just aren't true. Talking about revenge and capping some guy. You just shouldn't be listening to that kind of stuff because it tells you things that are not true. We need to learn to analyze what we're feeding our minds, because even if you're not paying attention to the music, your brain is picking up on things, and then you'll find yourself believing and saying things that your music is saying, even though that wasn't you. And in this way, media really shapes how we think. And then in turn, we shape media, and then it shapes us, and it's this back and forth. So anyways, go for a walk, exercise, get rid of some of that excess energy. Listen to calming music. So great for that is Kevin Max. Oh my gosh, he's got the CD Starry-Eyed Surprise. Anyway, it's a fantastic record. I mean, it's just jamming. And he came out with this other CD last year in 2018. It's called AWOL. Oh my gosh. I mean, just the bass lines alone. Find music like that you can just, rather than getting all uptight, and it's not going to do anything. Don't gossip and complain, especially about the situation. I mean, goodness sakes. So somebody pisses you off, so you go and talk behind their back? That's kind of a person of low character. And here's the thing. I know people tell you, you got to let it out. Not like that, you don't. If you've got an issue with someone, you do need to let it out by having a clear and calm conversation with them. But getting it out by gossiping and complaining behind their backs, that is not how you do it. And in fact, verbalizing the problem causes a greater focus because you tell people who affirm your bad attitude. So you tell someone, man, this guy pisses me off, and then they tell you back, yeah, you're right, man, they did you wrong. And so then you keep passing the ball back and forth, and before you know it, you're more upset than you were before. Have friends that instead of telling you what you want to hear, they tell you what you need to hear. That's really not a big deal. You probably should just let it go. Don't get around other people who have the same problem. I mean, goodness sakes. If you have an anger problem, don't go around people who have an anger problem. If you hate this person, don't go around with people who hate this person. I mean, look at this. There are some people who make everything about politics. I mean, you could be talking about, man, there was some nice weather today. Yeah. But Trump, he's going to ruin the weather and he's going to... See what I mean? Like, you have to get some space from some of those things. If talking about politics pisses you off, don't talk about politics. If every time you get around someone, they talk about politics and that just makes you angry, don't go around that. I mean, goodness sakes. If we don't have all the problems figured out as to what every president is doing wrong and how they could fix all the world's problems, it's okay. Our talking about it to other people isn't going to make us feel better. It's not going to fix the problem. So all we're going to learn to do is complain about something instead of fixing it. Take the same energy that it takes to complain about a problem to fix the problem. Don't blame others for your anger. You chose to get angry. It was you. I'm angry. No, stop blaming other people. If you don't take control of your own problems, you will never get over this. You didn't punch your wife because she deserved it. You punched your wife because you were acting like a child. Grown men do not punch women. That's not what they do. And you have to learn to redirect that anger, redirect that rage. So don't blame others for your mistakes. Don't excuse a temper tantrum. Hey, it's okay that I'm acting like this because they were more wrong. Hey, it's okay that I'm acting like this because I'm going through some crap right now. Well, I'm sorry that kind of stuff's happening to you, but that doesn't give you an excuse. You know what I mean? And the more we give ourselves excuses, it's okay that I'm irritated, that I'm angry because President Trump is ruining America. Well, I mean, whatever, but you're teaching yourself to give yourself excuses instead of dealing with the situation. And here's the thing about life. Life has a way of throwing things back at us until we just learn to deal with it. Yeah, I don't like where this country is either. But, I mean, there's not much I can do about it from complaining. Getting angry is natural. You're going to get angry. The whole point of what we're talking about is controlling and redirecting the energy. Controlling the anger, redirecting the energy. Think of it as you're shooting lightning out of your body. You want to redirect that into something else. Okay? Some people find it very calming to take up an instrument or to take up a hobby, like arts and crafts or something. I don't know. But find some way to redirect that creative energy into something more useful. Because most of the anger is completely... it's useless. I mean, you have some people who, we hate President Trump, so we're gonna do this, and then these other people who, we love President Trump, so we're gonna hate you and then it goes back and forth, and then these individuals are fighting against each other because of someone else. I mean, that just doesn't make sense to me. I don't get the whole war between Republicans and Democrats. Why? Why are we allowing ourselves to be pitted against each other because we have slightly different views about how the government should be run? Like, that just doesn't make sense. So getting angry is natural. The purpose is controlling and redirecting the energy. Get professional help until you feel confident. Absolutely. Absolutely. You really need to nip this one in the bud because anger causes us to do a lot of different things. Practice self-control in other areas. I already mentioned this, but it's worth repeating. you know, if you're having a problem controlling your anger, start controlling your diet. Start controlling how much you work. Don't work too much, but don't work too little. 40 hours a week, that's a good amount to work. But practice self-control. Don't play out what you could have done. When we get through an irritating situation, we sit there and think, man, I should have said this, I should have done this, and we just sit there. It's in the past, let it go. Don't continually relive the past. I will never forgive them because of what they did. I will never forgive them because of what they did. Well, if you never forgive them, you will never control your anger. It will affect how you parent. It will affect how you are a spouse. It will affect how you work. It will affect everything. Don't anticipate people doing stupid things. I just know they were going to do this, and then when they do it, I knew that they were going to do it. Don't worry about what's going to happen tomorrow or the day after. Just deal with the situations that actually are there. Don't waste your time worrying about something. Give others the grace that you want. When you start looking at everybody like you're the judge and jury, instead of saying, well, I'm disappointed that they did that, but you know what? I've got my own problems too. Give others grace. Resolve inner conflicts. If your spirit is at war, it will come out in how you act and treat other people. So resolve inner conflicts. That really is necessary, absolutely. Stop being critical about yourself and others. Don't be a nitpicker. I mean, going through the list about what's wrong with everybody else, what's wrong with you. Typically, people who are most judgmental towards other people are judgmental towards themselves. And that's why it's important that Christians eventually stop, you know, seeing themselves how they, in that way, and try maybe seeing it in, instead of focusing on their own sin, maybe focusing on the God who forgave them. See, because if the focus is still on the sin, then that causes us, you see what I mean, to repeat the same cycles. It's a whole thing, but anyways. Teach yourself thought control, especially when angry. You need to learn how to control your thoughts. Seize your thoughts. Keep them captive. You redirect that thought, because you don't have to think about what's making you angry. Practice breathing exercises when you're upset. Just breathe in. Breathe out. 1, 2. Tell you what's great is these things like this, you know, where you can just take the irritation and then just let it go. And consciously let go of it while you're releasing the ball. See, I mean, you got to learn to calm yourself down. People do this with anxiety. Focus on your outermost part, your fingers and toes, okay? Relax them. If you're holding yourself like this, you're going to be angry, okay? That's why it works so good with this. Take all that anger and focus on it, and then just let it go. Focus on your fingertips and your toes. Relax them. Then your hands and your feet. Focus on slowing your breathing. Relax your arms and your legs. Relax your head back. Let your neck go. Closing your eyes helps. Focus on the breathing. Relax the chest. Don't breathe with your chest. Breathe with your diaphragm. And then calm down. So, breathing exercises really help. Get rid of things that are making you angry. I mean, goodness sakes, this should be on the top of everybody's list. If something you know is contributing to a bad attitude, address it. You know, if you need to forgive your parents, forgive them. Move on. If you're watching pornography, you need to understand that when you're involved in something like that, it's going to make you more edgy. It's going to make you more aggressive. So that bad attitudes, you know, things that are left unchecked, music that just maybe isn't the best thing to be putting in your ears, video games. You know how many people I see with anger problems playing video games? and then they take it out, die, and then they're throwing crap around and wasting money, and it's just not healthy. It's not actually learning how to deal with it. And then the last thing, I really want to end on this, because Christians do this all the time. Don't spiritualize your anger problem. Oh, I have righteous anger. Okay, well, if you can show me one biblical example of somebody in the Bible throwing a temper tantrum. Let's look at this. Moses got angry and he broke the 10 Commandments, and God made him go write them out himself the next time. Paul wrote, oh yeah, if you're going to get angry, don't sin. And then he said just a few verses later, put away anger. The only example that even comes close is when God gets angry, like for the example of when Jesus turned over the tables. Now, it never says that he was angry, and I think the reason why it doesn't say that is because he wasn't throwing a temper tantrum. And furthermore, he was God, so he can get away with some things that, we can't. He could be angry without sinning. But it's not really how we work, is it? We get angry, and we take it out on people. We get angry, and we start acting short-tempered towards people. So don't spiritualize away your anger. I'm angry and short-tempered, but it's okay because I'm angry at, these people who don't like the president. Okay. I'm angry because these Democrats, they're ruining the government. These liberals with their... there has to be a point when you say, okay, enough is enough. I was called to love, not to establish America, not to have righteous anger, wherever the crap that is, not to do any of those things. God has called us to love. When you are known by being judgmental and opinionated about politics and mean and critical about stuff, chances are you're not known as being a loving Christian. Yep. So I hope that helps. Really, learning to control your anger is something that's going to benefit you in lots of other areas of your life, and it's going to be something that you're going to have to do because you really cannot ignore it.